Time edition of Fox Football News. We are the Ready for Primetime players. I'm Lane Harris.
And I'm Audra Coble. Tonight on Fox, the Green Bay Packers hope to stay alive in the playoffs as they head into Atlanta to face the top team in the NFC. Before we preview tonight's game, let's look at some recent changes for the Panthers. The Carolina Panthers have hired a new head coach. Fox's Kelly Bartik has a word with the coach and tells us what's next for former coach John Fox.
I'm Lane Harris.
And I'm Audra Coble. Coming up on Fox, the Atlanta Falcons host the Green Bay Packers. These two teams met late in November. Green Bay tied the game by scoring a touchdown in the final minute, but the Packers couldn't hold Atlanta. And the Falcons won that game in the final seconds thanks to a Matt Bryant 47-yard field goal. In that game, the Packers outperformed in total yardage, but Atlanta still came away with the win. How do you expect these teams to match up tonight?
It's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be a great football game. Pull that one out. And Jets in New England. I'm sorry, Tyler. Patriots all the way.
All right, I'm going to go with all three of the home teams except for the Packers, sticking with the better defense. Let me ask you about the comments you made earlier in the week about if you're not in the top 5 of the Cup championship, you really don't have a chance to win.
Well, I think when you look at the points, I think your better chances are if you're in the top 5. So
your response was, you can't have a comeback if you're not behind.
Well, I mean, we don't believe it's over. We know that things got to happen.
When it comes to winning the Cup, do you think that you have a chance?
Well, you know, I mean, after the penalty and everything that happened there.
I think you have at least 2 drivers that have a chance at winning the championship.
Yeah, there's a lot of racing left to do. A lot of things can happen.
Ryan, you're currently 13th in standings. With the reward that comes with that position, you must have a lot to race for.
Well, we're always racing for the win. No matter
how is his momentum now? Is he ready to go? Is he charged up? Is there anything technical that has changed with his car?
Well, you know, in the first place, Greg has the same car.
So other than the weather and driving good, what other factors play into winning the race?
Well, you know, the
you know
pit
that
stop.
From race to race. Well, who is your pick tonight for the nationwide race?
Well, I don't know. You know, we're running this new nationwide series.
Well, let's talk about Kyle Busch. He has a chance to make history tonight. If he wins the nationwide series, he could sweep it for the Charlotte events for 2010.
Well, Kyle Busch.
Okay, so Casey Kane is going to be joining your team next year. What does it mean to Red Bull to have a driver like Casey Kane?
Well, we certainly want to compete at a high level and we decided to join us.
What goals do you have for him personally as a driver?
Well, for the entire company, we need to win races and we need to make the chase. So our goals.
Checkered flag drops Saturday night. The chase race will be half over, but as one chase driver puts it, the race may already be over for half the drivers. Harvick, who sits 3rd in the standings, says it's really unrealistic to win the championship if you sit anywhere outside the top 5. Kyle Busch seems to echo that sentiment as he said publicly Sunday it was over for him after a blown engine dropped him to 35th place in the California race and 9th in the standings. Jeff Burton, who sits 8th in the standings, says he still has hope. He says in order to have a comeback, you've got to be behind. Any way you look at it, they've all got their work cut out for them to deny points leader Jimmy Johnson his 5th straight title. Reporting from the Charlotte Motor Speedway, I'm Audra Coble. Tonight's Bank of America 500, Jamie McMurray is being hailed the non-chase champion as he wins his 3rd big race of the season in a race that produced 58 lead changes among 25 different drivers. And J-Mac reveals in a SiriusXM radio interview on Monday what he was thinking those last 8 laps in Charlotte. A sermon, he says, that he heard on the radio weeks prior to the race. Those thoughts he shared in an emotional Charlotte Victory Lane interview. Kyle Busch says it wasn't. Cliff, you've been here for a few years now. What is different about this team?
Well,
How do you mentally prepare for the next 2 games knowing that the conference championship games are, on the horizon?
well, we set our goals.
About the Clemson-Carolina game, looking past Troy, what will the win over Clemson mean for this team?
Well, it'll make
The Gamecocks and their fans certainly had a lot to celebrate Saturday night, perhaps a little bit more than anyone else who had just captured their first Eastern Division title. But it's back to work today. Coach Spurrier says the Gamecocks still have a lot to achieve, and it begins Saturday against Troy. Spurrier says the goal was to win 9 regular season games. It can still be done, but a win Saturday is a must. Not a flashy game, he says, but it all counts the same in the win column. Reporting from Williams-Brice Stadium, I'm Audra Coble.